Hi, welcome to this four-part series hosted by the GrabMaps team, where we take you behind the scenes and deep dive into the core pillars of our mapmaking solution: hardware, collection, Carta maps, and Carta places. My name is Vinay Jayanti, and I'm the product lead for places here at GrabMaps. This talk should provide you a sense of how we have taken on the task of becoming self-sufficient with our places data and how we can support others take on a similar feat. Let's jump right in. I will start with an introduction to GrabMaps. We will look at why maps are important to Grab and why Grab went after self-sufficiency. There might be commonalities where your organizations might have similar needs, and we will then look at some of the problems to solve for and challenges faced in achieving places self-sufficiency. After that, we look at how Grab did it. We got here through a lot of experiments, detours, and learnings. What I will cover today is what worked for us and how we are able to leverage our advantage through our systems. The story I tell you today is not only about self-sufficiency though, it's also about what comes beyond and some of the new opportunities we are exploring. Lastly, we'll close with some reflections and learnings from our journey. Grab is Southeast Asia's leading super app. We provide ride-hailing, delivery, and financial services in all major markets across the region. Grab is helping make a positive impact to the everyday lives of 680 million plus people in Southeast Asia. So, a few years ago, when we looked at things we can do to improve user experience and optimize our platform, we quickly saw how better maps was a really big factor. To put it simply, better maps equals amazing experiences. So from the places that you select for your rides and deliveries, to the distance and time calculations that power allocation and pricing, or the routes and navigations that drivers use to reach destinations faster, or lastly, enabling discovery of nearby merchants, discounts, essentials, all of this is possible because of GrabMaps. For Grab, as one of the largest geo-service users in Southeast Asia, highly accurate map content is extremely important to our strategy. GrabMaps is at the heart of all this action and powers our services in 480 cities. In this process, we have become the go-to geo partner in Southeast Asia. We are at 33 million places in our database and are constantly adding more across the region. All of this is available to license, and I invite you to reach out should you have any data needs in the region. So on to the second part of the agenda. Why pursue self-sufficiency? What are the reasons for an organization to optimize for location data? To begin with, the obvious cost angle. Given how important location data is to most businesses and to ours, we needed to be self-sufficient to save cost. Secondly, keeping aside costs for a minute, when we looked at the current available data in the market, we saw there were missing points of interest or places that did not get updated fast enough, or where our map providers did have places, they were missing rich data. The hyperlocality, detail, and freshness that we needed was simply not available. For instance, is a pickup allowed only for certain taxi types? Are there vehicle-specific restrictions? Where do drivers park? Or is waiting allowed? Should you take a deliveries use case? Does a restaurant serve halal food? Or what are their reviews and ratings? And so on. All of this is needed to improve the consumer experience. Finally, we realized that we could hyper-tune our platform in very specific ways if we had this content. So we are building rich data and services on top in order to optimize our business, which I shall come to in the latter part of the discussion. Stay tuned for that. So what did we have to solve for? When we started on the path to self-sufficiency, we realized we had three problems to tackle. We found creative solutions that we see worked extremely well for us in our market. First, there are high technical barriers. We didn't have the know-how to build a self-sustaining places pipeline. Secondly, Southeast Asia is a huge area. Manually capturing places and validating them is time-consuming and very likely to have duplicates and human error. Third, keeping places fresh and accurate across the region is as big a challenge as creation. So there are things we tried and failed. Our journey was not an easy one, but it gave us a lot of learnings which I'm going to share with you next. Let's talk about the core of today's discussion. How does Grab do it? We use three forms of ground truth. First is field collection. Capturing changes in reality across the region requires one to be everywhere at once. Our industry presented advantages we could leverage to meet our mapping needs. So we built a really good field collection solution to utilize just that. Secondly, we have the richest imagery source in the region, constantly updated and captured by our own custom-built camera. So we extract places from imagery. The third is booking data. We have access to a continuous stream of real-time feedback via aggregated and anonymized booking data. Our users also give us contextual feedback, which greatly helps us react to changes on the ground. So let's start with field collection. We built the Map Your City tool, and with the help of our drivers, partners, passengers, and ground ops teams, we were able to reach the length and breadth of the region. The Map Your City tool within the Grab super app allows users to volunteer, help the community by adding map content. As you can see on the screen, users can add new places, update existing ones, or even help verify submissions from other contributors. The process starts with users being able to add new or missing places, or even edit existing places. All submissions from the app are scored, and we take an automation-first approach. Should automation fail, we then move on to community verification. We can also send tasks for ops to moderate. In case they need additional data, we then generate tasks for the community to collect that and close the loop as well. Let's take a closer look at the submission process via Map Your City. This is the tool through which users can add or edit places on the map. The first problem to solve is to tell users where they need to collect places. Based on signals from our super app and the available content that we had in our database, we built prompts to show missing places. We also added heat maps to guide users on where they need to go. Map Your City can tell contributors where they're likely to find missing places and get suitably rewarded for collecting them. Users are allowed to submit places outside a red geohash as well, should they see a certain place is not available on the Grab super app. With so many people moving from one place to another within our ecosystem, we essentially played to our strengths. With our network of drivers, partners, passengers, and field operators telling us what is missing in the map. The next problem is to improve submissions efficiency and submission quality. In order to collect data efficiently, we provide feed collectors with the best route to maximize collection within a given time and area. We made improvements to collect places accurately, like identifying duplications in contributions, allowing users to perform more selection on the screen via auto-populated admin areas or auto-completed street names, and ensuring the user spends less time filling content. We saw that submission quality improved greatly with reduced duplications and human error. We also put in place fraud checks to ensure collectors are physically at a location in order to be certain that we are receiving ground truth. Now, we have seen how the submission process works, so let's look at how the data is moderated. Establishing a widespread field collection program means we have a lot of data flowing into the system. Validating them all and creating places is a massive effort. One needs to consider how to reduce the effort in reviewing submissions. So we took an automation-first approach from the outset. We extract places text and compare it with the content provided by the user. We then run geocoding checks, deduplicate against existing data in our system. We normalize addresses to store attributes in their correct places and fill in missing details to complete the address. The second method of moderation is community verification. There are cases where automation can't complete the validation due to reasons like unclear photos or angle from where it is shot. We need to find a way to control validation cost and not end up using our ops to moderate whatever failed in automation. So as a solution, we looked at how we can use our driver partners to verify submissions from other contributors. Verification tasks are created in the Maker Checker model and are paid tasks for gig mappers to resolve on the Map Your City tool. Contributors can see tasks on the map, choose the ones nearest to them or the ones they are familiar with. They can correct errors or accept a submission if they see fit. We also insert ops verified tasks to gig mappers as tests to ensure fraud prevention. Besides this, we are exploring means of using duplicate submissions to cross-validate each other and suitably reward both contributors as another form of community verification. So So this is how we built an efficient field collection system, and it's one of the key pillars of our self-sufficiency strategy. Grab's next source of ground truth, the second one, is an important one, which is imagery. We have recorded imagery amounting to 2 million kilometers in the region, and we collected all of this with the primary intention of building our map content. As you have heard in the episode on hardware, we've also built our own custom camera, customized for street collection in the region. Let's understand how Grab is extracting places from imagery. Places from imagery has been a journey that started with high cost per place, using manual moderation, to a point now where we have automated end-to-end creation. It has become a cost-effective method thanks to iterating on automation from the very beginning. We had a lot of learnings along the way and gradually improved our precision rate and conversion rate. We have invested significant time in building this, and safe to say that along with kata cams, this is a great way to create places using imagery. Starting with basic imagery and text processing pipelines, we ran small experiments to understand pain points that existed with extracting places from images. Today, we are orders of magnitude cheaper than when we began this journey. As the slide shows, in 2021, we had a period of rapid iterative improvements on this pipeline, increasing the conversion ratio in blue while reducing the average handling time, which is in red. We built a model to identify points of interest or POIs versus non-POIs and break out billboards from the regular POIs. We made text processing optimizations to classify extracted attributes better, and we improved conversion rate with better deduplication of POI candidates. We also worked closely with hardware to accurately position POIs by improving capture angles and being able to predict the depth of the POIs much better. Our models are tuned for precision with kata cams, and this is a classic example of how we are built on top of existing capabilities. We were underway to full-scale extraction in about 1 year after beginning and continue to iterate to a point where we can now create places automatically. So how does this work end-to-end? Imagery vision is the first component, which has a lot of the features I just shared now, such as panel detection, text detection, understanding depth, and positioning. The second part is the text processing pipeline that includes the OCR component, reverse geocoder, chain store matching, and deduplication. The last part is tooling, where we cross-check extracted places information against existing data and generate tasks for ops to review low to medium confidence candidates. This is how we extract places from imagery, and this is another key pillar in our self-sufficiency strategy. Our third source of ground truth is booking data. We essentially leverage what's happening on our platform to constantly improve and maintain our data. We combine automated systems and human inspections to improve places data. We have corrected over 1 million places using this method since 2021. We crunch historical booking data to determine where our data does not reflect ground reality, like the image on the left. The red pin is where we had located the merchant POI initially, and the cluster of blue and green pins is where we see drivers actually picking up the orders. The output of this pipeline is a triangulated location where we determine the pin should actually be. This is then sent to Mapmaking, as you can see on the right, and we get crowdsourced maintenance inputs that helps keep our data fresh. The whole system is integrated and works seamlessly as a self-sustaining pipeline. Next, as a platform, Grab has access to millions of search strings from users when they are looking for a place or a business while making a booking. These serve as cues to understand POIs missing from our platform by matching search strings. Validation once again is powered by our community, and we have millions of qualitative feedback from passengers and drivers across the region, and we find this is another way that we can keep our data fresh and accurate. Now on to the next section, what's beyond self-sufficiency. As I mentioned before, going self-sufficient laid the foundation for us to do something bigger. Post achieving self-sufficiency, we decided to go deeper and optimize for our business. Having our own places stack allows us to build rich attribution to power our business and create a better experience for users. We leveraged Mapmaking and set about collecting rich data for the deliveries use case, like mapping closest parking by vehicle type or predicting optimal entrance to merchants based on the driver route. In order to minimize driver walk time, we capture photos, for both parking and optimal entrance, along with guidance instructions. We also capture accurate walking time from parking location to merchants, which will result in better ground truth for our ETA models. Finally, we also installing Bluetooth beacons to better estimate food preparation times for merchants that will help us with improved order batching. Another opportunity from being self-sufficient is the ability to create custom experiences for your consumers. For instance, during the recent F1 Grand Prix in Singapore, a lot of roads were cordoned off and transformed into a street racing circuit. This means that locations which were inaccessible could be confusing for both people who live in Singapore as well as a lot of tourists who came over to watch the race. So we added a search experience to nudge users to choose pickup or drop-off locations at selected points which were predefined. We allowed users to search from the map using an easy-to-use snapping experience and give them a confirmation to reduce anxiety as to whether they are or not in the right place. In the event of choosing a pickup on a cordoned off road where the race was happening, we notified the user about road closures and redirected them to an available pickup point. So, finally, what have we learned in our journey? First thing is strive to control costs. Validate prudently using a mix of POI risk and user trust. Also, aim for automation to be the end state and accept it takes time to improve and iterate. The second is to keep a constant ear on ground. We learn to work with our community to help curate ground truth and to help us create and maintain places. Third, importantly, build on top. As an example, we created AI extraction models tuned for CartaCam images, or we use MapyoCity to validate maintenance signals. Lastly, self-sufficiency is just the beginning. We realize there is so much one can do to optimize for your business and unlock efficiencies once an organization is self-sufficient on its mapping stack. We've come to the end of this webinar. I hope you found the content useful and have a good understanding of how we got self-sufficient on places. Please do check out the other 3 webinars in this mapmaking series on hardware, collection, and Carta Maps if you'd like to learn more. If you have any questions about our solution or would like to get in touch, feel free to drop us a note at grabmaps.contact@grab.com. I'm Vinay Jayanti, and thank you for listening in.